Hey Katy, how are you?
Hi, doing great. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for joining me today. It's really nice to have you. I appreciate you taking some time here with me.
Yeah, happy to.
Um, yeah, so for those of you that don't know Katy, she's graciously shared some of her time with me tonight just to give an overview of her time when we worked together. So we'll just hop right into it. So Katy, let's just if you could start by telling us a bit about yourself and what you were struggling with before we started coaching together.
Yeah, I am a sort of classic type A, um, very energetic person. I overthink a lot. I talk a lot. I'm pretty big energy. And I have had a lot of different careers in my life, but I felt like I sort of jumped off cliffs and liked that. And then over the last couple of years, it got into really tough spots as far as um, professional options went, and just got in sort of this like mental doom scrolling of job hunting, financial stress. I worked 3 jobs at once for like almost a year and basically burnt myself out, and was simultaneously like burning myself out and beating myself up about it. Like, family is the most important thing to me. I need time for them. I need to be present for them. I need to make money for them. Therefore, I need to work 3 jobs to make more money because the job market sucks. And I actually really want to be doing something completely different, but I'm too scared to do it. So that's sort of like where we were when we started. Was I just felt like kind of a mess and didn't know what to do about it. Didn't feel like there were really any options, which was another big issue of like, it kind of has to be this way, and I don't know how to keep going in it. So that's kind of a
Yeah,
long answer, short question of where I was when we started working together.
no, that was a really good summary, and I think um, one of the takeaways there is that reoccurring theme that we worked so much time on, which was the conflict between the values of passion and provision. That
Mm.
was, at the core of the work that we did together. And I think you did a beautiful job at just summing it up there. So no, I appreciate that. So where were you at? If you could describe, I guess, where you felt like you were at mentally and what goals you were trying to achieve at the time that we started working together, how would you describe that?
Mentally, I was in a really bad place for me. Like, I was pretty unmoored. Like, I didn't feel like myself. And I just kept spiraling in this like terrible financial mindset, like these financial anxieties. And it was like it put a chokehold on what I thought my choices were. And so it was like, I have to keep doing these things. Everything is like, I have to, I have to, I have to. And I really spent too much time on that. And I was mentally exhausted. I was like physically and mentally and emotionally just exhausted. I was at my wit's end. And what was the second part of your question?
Yeah, no, and the second part was just, and what goals were you trying to achieve before we started working together?
To be honest, I didn't even know. My only goal is I can't keep going like this. And so something's got to give. Like, I can't just accept that this is life now. Like, I feel miserable. Um, and so I think that was kind of the point, really, is you worked with me a lot on digging in and defining those goals. And like, it took a while to figure out like, what is the root goal here? And you started off with like core values, and there was enough of a conflict just on core values and
Yeah.
mindset for me that took us a while. Um, and it really went to like that value of provision, but also like passion and enthusiasm.
Yeah.
And the mindset that I had going into it was like, provision is only financial.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
through the course of this, realized like, actually, my definition of provision is completely the opposite. Financial is one component, but it's not even necessary. Like,
Mm-hmm.
depending on the partnership, the family that you have, and like the passion and enthusiasm for life are necessary. They are essential. So that component to provision and what elements I bring to like my partnership, my family, my community, that like being present and being who I am as a person is now a higher priority than a
Yeah.
specific dollar amount. And that took a lot. Like, I wasn't even using the term provision as a value. Like, you're the one that offered me that word. And I was like, oh my God, like, that's it. And then we got to dig into that. And I knew I wanted to be doing other work. And the passion element was completely missing it. And I was like hunting for jobs and like bringing up this sort of like feigned passion and enthusiasm for getting those things. But
Yeah.
really what was under it is like, I wanted the salary. And when we dug into that, it's like, oh, actually, these other things I am far more passionate about. I'm just scared to do it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think one of the beautiful things about your journey as we worked together was, because I remember when we first started working together, one of the things that kept coming up that you wanted to work on was your financial mindset and how you thought about finances and that sort of thing. And it's funny because that was in the backdrop, but as we worked together and actually uncovered the values, that almost took care of itself once you just got clarity, I would say, on the things that were really, really important to you. Because like I said earlier, it's like those two, you had a couple of values that were competing, and correct me if I'm wrong, but from my perspective, it was once you were able to get the clarity that you needed to realize, hey, one actually is higher than the other, and it's clearly higher than the other. They're like, and once you got that clarity, there wasn't that resistance when it came to alignment, because they were aligned almost vertically as opposed to trying to align horizontally.
Exactly. Absolutely. And it led me to like, of course I still have moments. Like, it's not like it just dissolves and goes away, but I can accept it and talk through it. I'm a verbal processor, obviously. That like now when those thoughts are coming up, I can just go to my partner and be like, hey, this thing happened and I'm feeling like shame and judgment because like like I'm not providing enough. I mean, spoiler for everybody, I ended up starting my own business and loving it. But when those moments come up where I'm like, oh, she's making the preponderance of the money right now, it's like, oh yeah, this is what we planned for.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if it never changed, we also planned for that. Like, it's okay. And like, I don't need to make $1 million to be a good partner or to have kids, like all of those things that I would like. When I have that shame and judgment, I just articulate it really quickly and then move on. And so
Mm-hmm.
the cycle, I think that's what's helped is, and in the midst of that, so much of the work that you did with me that I wasn't even thinking of is recognizing what I control and what I don't control. So that like circle of control versus circle of concern. And I use that metaphor all the time. And that really helped me get through some things of like, I can't control the outcome. If I was job hunting, I can't control whether or not I get this job, but I control the effort that I put in, whether I meet my metric, like my goals of
Mm-hmm.
how many resumes I do, how many applications I submit, whatever, and reframing all of my definition of success now. Like, it can only be about the things that I control. And so now, in the same way as I'm approaching my business and like bidding for contracts and stuff, my success is tied to the work that I put into it and not whether or not they say yes, which is the financial component. And so
Right.
my cycle of distress about a thing is so short now.
Yeah.
Like, I was just living in it on loop before.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. I know I can definitely relate to that from when I was in a similar space. So no, I appreciate you sharing that with us. So I think, let me ask you, I think you did shed some light on this already, but in regards to how this, I guess the lack of like mental clarity that you were having, um, if you had to describe how it was impacting your daily life, your career, or your relationships, like beyond the external struggles,
Mm-hmm.
how were you feeling internally when you were actually dealing with some of these issues?
I felt terrible and I felt like I was just faking my way through it. Like, I didn't want people to know how miserable I was. I would work a job in the morning, go work in person all day, work a third job at home in the evening, and then try to spend every minute that I could with my partner and my friend community. And I didn't want to tarnish or taint the time together by like how bad I was feeling or the thoughts that I was having. And so a friend of mine, later on when I started talking about it with people, she was like, you're just trying to muscle your way through this. And that's exactly what it was. Like I was trying to muscle my way into cheerfulness and being present. And eventually, obviously that doesn't work. And I completely burned out and was miserable. And like my big trigger for that was when I started being snappy with the person I love most in the world. And like, yes, people have moments of snappiness. I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but it was like moments that were clearly out of character for me. And I was like, oh, well, we're changing something right now, immediately.
Yeah.
And so what I did was basically be like, okay, in the dashboard of the jobs that I'm doing, I'm going to throttle way back on one of them, which made the least money, but was the thing I cared about the most. So I throttled back to get more like time and energy. But then I turned out like I got even more miserable because then I wasn't doing like the one thing I actually love to do is what got cut.
Yeah. No, I think, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I'm hearing, what you're saying, it sounds like during that period of time where you were, as you would say, feeling unmoored, you weren't living authentically aligned with your vision, your purpose, and just the things that you wanted to accomplish for yourself. And it sounds like the energy that you had to put forth just to live that way, as opposed to living fully authentically aligned with what you wanted for yourself, just caused you to get to a place that you didn't want to be in anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. I think now in hindsight, the uncomfortable feelings like that I was experiencing being out of alignment versus like the uncomfortable feelings that come with taking a calculated risk in your life, I would always choose the feelings that go with taking a calculated risk now versus that. Versus being out of alignment felt so terrible. Now things can feel scary and I can do it anyways. And like there are moments when risk taking that just like involve fear, of course. However, I would always choose that over the way that I felt when I was not living in alignment with like my values, my passion, my purpose, like who I am.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Okay, so let me ask you, what are the biggest mindset shifts or breakthroughs that you experienced from our time working together? How has your perspective changed?
I think it's interesting because going back to like where we really started, we were talking about values a lot. There, you had me do some exercises and uncovered the word like leadership. And that has always been the most important thing to me. And it was a word I had not used in like 2 years. It wasn't even in my vernacular about myself or what I was doing or my work or anything. And it was like, it is so core. It is like the central thing about myself that I love about myself. It's a thing I cannot stop talking about. And it just had been buried under all of this junk. And so pulling that out really set me on a path to be like, oh, wow. And it reframed like what my business is about, how I work, how I lead in my own life. And like taking that and then putting the model of the circles of control and concern. Like that, it really felt like the coaching process that you guided was very additive. It was genuinely a process of like discover, act, and like that it just kept building towards a direction that I was like didn't know how to define at first, but you helped me like figure out how to get there.
Yeah.
So there were some other like tools and techniques. I don't know if you wanted me to speak to that, but like that was like one of the biggest insights and like mindset shifts that I experienced.
Yeah. No. Okay. No, that's amazing to hear. Let me ask you, what would you say is different about how you approach challenges and opportunities now?
Ooh, it's like completely different. Before it felt like in the scene in Captain America where he just keeps getting punched in the face and he stands up and he's like, I can do this all day, but he's like bedraggled and like he's about to fall over. And it was just like, I was just getting hit, like one hit after another. There were not opportunities. There were only challenges. There were only problems. And it was just me continually saying like, I got to keep going. I don't know how to keep going. I got to keep going. I don't know how to keep going. And not in like an existential way, to be clear, but like mentally and emotionally, I don't know how to keep doing this. Like I can't give more, but life keeps asking more.
Mm-hmm.
And now I feel like I'm actually in the driver's seat of my life. And like my days go the way that I want them. My schedule looks the way that I want it. And things are on my terms. And that has made me even better in all my relationships. Like my quality time is a higher quality than it's ever been because I'm present with people. And it helped me like slow down and assess situations, assess things as they come up, and really trust not even my ability to do a thing, but my willingness to like never stop trying.
Mm-hmm.
That trust of like, okay, whatever comes, I'm going to deal with it. And over the last 2 years, that just like, I just was knocked off the horse. And now it's like, one of the things we really talked about was my sort of like obsession with controlling things, because I felt like the only way I was going to feel safe is if I was in control of things and I was proactive and I like got situations where they needed to be in all areas of my life so that I could feel secure that I had thought of most of the situations that could come in. But then when the things I wasn't expecting came, as they always do, I felt terrible and unprepared and shame and judgment and all this stuff. And it's like, now I just plan to be surprised constantly.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm prepared how to mentally and emotionally respond to that instead of getting knocked off the horse.
Yeah, no, that's a beautiful place to be. So let me follow up on that question and ask, when you think about specific results or tactics that have worked, or that or changes that you've seen since working together, how would you say some of those things have impacted your clarity, your decision making, and your execution?
Yeah, I think for me, like this has been a process. It has been progressive. And one of the things that you suggested that I implemented was, don't think beyond 7 days. Like, unless something requires a dedicated action right now for a day that's going to happen in the future, there's nothing beyond 7 days. Okay, that really helped me. And then time boxing when I could worry. So I put a reminder on my calendar every day at 2 p.m. This is an okay time to worry, because I was worrying all the time. And I didn't realize until we really dug into it, like how much that was affecting my life, my body. And so it was like, okay, I put this time on the calendar. So if I start to worry about something at 10 a.m., I'm like, now's not the time, but I will come back to it at 2. And so every day my phone would give me a reminder, this is an okay time to worry. But most of the time by 2 p.m., I just didn't really want to. It's like the time of the day I care least to worry. But then if it's 5 p.m., I can't worry until 2 p.m. the next day. And what I realized in all of that is I was like, worry is pointless. Sitting down and brainstorming and problem solving is purposeful, but worry is not. And so I didn't actually lose anything in my life. You think like, oh, well, if you don't worry, you're not going to be ready. You're not going to be prepared. You're not going to be productive. No, I was ready and prepared and productive either way. But I was actually better at all of those things when I had the mental and emotional energy to approach problems, which I didn't have when I was exhausting myself and worry all day long. So time boxing the worry. Then I loved the results of that so much that I applied it to the financial mindset, and even told my partner, like, hey, I'm having this issue with financial mindset, and I've got this new tactic where I'm only going to talk about money on Mondays. And so if we are walking on a Saturday and something comes up with money, I might just ask that we table it. And I have a note that says like financial topics to talk about, and I will put the topic on there, but I will not talk about it until Monday. And that was true for like personal, professional finances, whatever. Or like waxing poetic about the economy. Like it was just like, I'm not doing it until Monday. And then I have the space to do it. And so what happened again is that on Mondays, I wanted to sit down and be really diligent and focused about financial management, but that didn't involve worry. It was more tactical, more action focused, and less just spiraling on thoughts that were getting me nowhere. And that has worked brilliantly. I love it.
Awesome. No, I'm glad to hear that. So if you think back to where Katy was before we started working together, I know we spoke a lot about Katy 2.0 and you getting to the version of yourself that you wanted to see. How would you describe how you feel now when you look back at your journey from then until now?
Well, then I definitely felt overwhelmed and desperate. And now I feel present and resilient. So I don't even want to say hopeful. Like I'm not even like, oh, everything's going to be rainbows and butterflies, and I hope that tomorrow's going to be better than today. It's like, no, today is today. And today can be great for all of the things that I can control. And I can be responsive to the things that I can't control. And like in a much better place of accepting that. So I'm not just mentally fighting it all the time. I'm just much more present.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Okay, so almost wrapping up here, but let me ask you this next question. Who would you recommend this coaching program to, and why? Like, what kind of person do you think would benefit most from this experience?
I think people who have the sense that they want to make a big decision in life, whether they know what that decision is or not, like whether or not they're like, I'm considering this alternative or this one, or they're just like, I know I'm unsatisfied, but I don't at top level know what I want to do about it yet. Would definitely recommend, because throughout this process, I mean, obviously folks don't know this, but like I made a big decision, major life change, and I'm currently in the period that I was the most afraid of. And I feel wonderful.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it doesn't feel difficult. It doesn't mean that it doesn't feel difficult or challenging or scary. It feels all of those things, but it doesn't feel like a tsunami. It just feels like a thing I'll deal with. And like, I am resourced to deal with it, or I will go find something to help me deal with it. And I'm like trusting myself more. And also having like great boundaries about my time and protecting, like making sure that I'm nourishing myself through like nutrition and exercise and being outside more, which is something that was really important for like my personality, my body type. Like I'm a daisy. I need to photosynthesize, and I like haven't spent any time outside in the last 2 years. So like all of that is different now. It's a priority as much as spending quality time with other people, and the quality time with people is better than it used to be.
Yeah, no, and I know that's something that you that you shared with me a couple of weeks ago, or last week actually, just how much better the quality time that has been around some of the people that you love and care about because of that elevated sense of presence. So, and that was really great to hear. And just to give the listeners context, this is a period of about 3 or 4 months that we're talking about, right? Because we started working together, I think, in a late November, early December. It's now March. And yeah, like you, and I just want to give you your kudos, because the amount of how seriously you took the coaching and how much you showed up and how much you trusted me to help you. That made all the difference in terms of the output that you got out of it. And like you said, you had a huge decision that you needed to make, but you knew the whole time what you really wanted to do. We just had to uncover that and give you the tools to be able to feel, I think, confident and to act with conviction towards that decision.
Yeah. I think the ideal person coming to this needs to be ready to do the work.
Yeah.
Because
Agreed.
like you facilitate and guide in all the right ways, but if the person on this end of it isn't willing and ready to take action and to be really honest with themselves, then they're not going to get what they want out of it. It's just like you on the coaching side can only do so much. And here, like if somebody's ready to work, you'll help get them there.
Yeah.
At least that has been true for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So let me ask you, if someone is unsure about whether this program is the right fit for them,
Mm-hmm.
what advice would you give them?
My first immediate thought is just to talk to you, like to get in a room and talk through where they're at, because you're so honest and transparent that like if you're not the person to help them with something, you would tell them. Like if they don't seem ready to move forward, I think you would tell them. Like
For
you,
sure.
I imagine, only want to work with clients who want to do the work. And like I trusted you to tell me when I was coming in, like, is this something that you can facilitate? Am I the right client fit for you? Is this goal of mine or nebulous area I want you to help me find a goal in? Like, are we a good fit? Is this something that coaching can really make meaningful change in? And so my thought is just like talk to you, because you're going to be honest with them about it.
Yeah, no, I really, really appreciate you saying that, because I think that's so true. I think in today, like a lot of the time, people have really, obviously people want clients, that's obvious, but I think sometimes maybe people have agendas that aren't, where they're not leading with service. And that's one of the things I appreciate you as well, and some of our colleagues is I think, and that's the beautiful thing, I think, about once you get to a point where you are aligned. And I actually got this from you. I made a video on this the other day, is high intention, low attachment. And once you're moving in alignment with your mission, with your vision and your purpose, you just want, it's so easy to just like, why would you not come from a place of like service and solely service, And so I think I really appreciate you saying that, because I think that's exactly right. At the end of the day, there's no financial commitment that has to be made just to hop on a call with someone, and whether it's me, whether it's another coach, whether it's another area you're thinking about, just be curious about how things may be able to help you, because you never know what can come from that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And to be clear, I didn't coin that phrase, but I think it's so true here that like your intention is helping people get where they want to go. So like you're not going to sign up somebody who isn't the right fit, or coaching isn't the best option to facilitate what they want out of it too.
Exactly. Absolutely. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for all your time today, Katy. I really, really appreciate you. No, you're very, very welcome.
My life is genuinely different because of this. So thank you.
No, you're very, very welcome. It was great working with you. And I know you're doing lots of great work in consulting and coaching. If someone wants to get in contact with you, what's the best way for them to reach you?
Yeah, thank you. I do business and leadership coaching, and you can find me at welcometobrick.com. That's brick, welcometobrick.com. Or Kate Kuran, you can just look me up online.
Awesome. And so thank you guys, whoever made it this far. Thank you so much for listening and giving us your time. If you'd like to explore how we can help you at Insightera Coaching, just go to insightera.com, insytera.com, and you can schedule a clarity call there, or you can search me on TikTok or Instagram at Myles Daniel Coaching. and YouTube is also Myles Daniel Coaching. So thank you guys so much for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.